G'day, Cliff Morgan here. My thoughts on the new right to disconnect laws, part 3. Part 2, I spoke about the mindset that you approach these new laws with, and part 1, we spoke about the need for proactive communication and engagement around what is reasonable with your teams. Now, how do you have those conversations? And that's what I wanted to explore here. I reckon there's 3 parts to the conversation that you need to have. And the first one is to define and agree on what is reasonable in your specific context. There's 2 parts to that one. And the first one I reckon is what's reasonable work outside of hours. And the reality is that your most engaged employees are going to work outside of hours. They're motivated, they want to do a good job, they want to get a jump start on the next day. They will work outside of hours. They go above and beyond. But when you require them to go above and beyond what's in their job description and work outside of hours, or you restrict their ability to do so, you stop and limit that, the research tells us that you actually start to erode the engagement and motivation of your team. So you don't want to do that. But what you do want to do is get everybody on the same page and have the same expectations around what work is reasonable to do outside of hours. The next part is what's reasonable contact. And so you want to explore both the reasons for contact, but also the methods for contact. You might decide that it's reasonable for everybody to send each other emails after hours and not respond to them. And it's also reasonable that if you pick up the phone, you expect a response. Or you might decide that that's not the case. It doesn't really matter as long as everybody's on the same page and they have a clear definition of what is reasonable and they agree to that. The next part is really some scenarios, right? Run some scenarios. So you've defined what's reasonable, now play it out. And I recommend that you ask the question, what scenarios could we anticipate after hours contact? What are the different ideas that we might have? And really, what you want to do here is allow your staff to lead the conversation. Let them speak first. Let them put their ideas on the table. Let them come up with the different scenarios. The more that they lead this conversation, the more they're going to feel heard, the more they're going to feel like they have a value contribution, and therefore the more they're going to own the outcome of this particular discussion, and the less likely they are to kind of invoke their right to disconnect. The final part, there's one more scenario that I reckon is worth you exploring. And that's, hey, if I as a business leader forget about this stuff and contact you in an unreasonable manner, I'm not going to do it on purpose, but if I do it accidentally, how do we manage that particular situation? Don't wait until people are under pressure of that scenario playing out before figuring out what the best way to manage it is. Think about it prior and agree on the approach. End the conversation, the final part, end the conversation with a commitment. Hey, I as a leader, I'm going to commit to not contacting you in this manner after these hours. And you also want to have an agreement as part of that commitment that if I contact you by this method after this time, it's going to be for one of these reasons, which we all deem reasonable, and therefore I expect you to answer, and you want your employees to commit to answering your phone in those circumstances. So there you go. Define and agree what's reasonable, run some scenarios, get clarity as to what that looks like, and finally commit to moving forward. I hope that's helpful for you. Until next time, lead well.